Hello，哎，我声音大小 OK 吗？可以是吧？ We're almost there. Okay, for all the audience online, we will start soon. So please bear with us. Have we all the tours returned? Okay, great. Thank you for all your patience. Okay. Welcome. Okay, let's wait for a second. Please have a seat, everyone. We will start soon. For a little bit logistic, the toilet is on the other side of this floor. So if you want to go to, please feel free to ask a working staff of UKTA and Amazon today. So now let's start it, okay? Good evening, everyone, and a huge heartily welcome to this wonderful place. It is truly wonderful to see so many of you here and online today. Seeing this room filled with such energy and anticipation is truly inspiring, and it's a moment we've all been working towards. My name is Yuan Gao. I'm the Secretary General of UK Tsinghua Association. It's my pleasure and privilege to be standing before you to kicking off these events off. Whether you are a returning friend or a new face joining our events for the first time, welcome. In an era where technology is reshaping every industry, the financial world stands at the precipice of profound change. AI is no longer a futuristic concept, but something everyone needs to be embraced. So how AI will empower a traditional industry investment? That's something we will talk about today. And from algorithm trading and predictive analytics to personalized financial advice and enhanced fraud detection, AI is already reshaping the financial industry today. So your presence is what makes this event possible and meaningful. Thank you for taking time out after work. I understand Thursday evening. So thank you so much for coming here, make the effort. And I do hope you enjoy the tour just now. I haven't been there, so I'm jealous. So we are especially honored today to have some distinguished guests with us. I'd like to extend a special welcome to Professor Fu Xiaolan 老师. And our keynote and our opening, who is our keynote speaker. And also I want to thank our co-host, Michael Xu, Mr. Michael Xu, who is the founder of AGI Upside as well as NetMind. Okay, so an event of this scale also wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our sponsors. So a special thanks to AWS as well as Amazon. We have 4 on-site employees who are volunteering from Amazon and AWS today, who make these tours as well as this venue possible. So applause for them, please. And also our sponsor, NetMind and Pangura, for their incredible commitment to our vision. So, and finally, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to the organizing committee, UK Tsinghua Association volunteers. You will see about, there are 40 of us, but 11 of us involved in organizing this behind the scene, and the volunteers from AGI Odyssey. So thank you all for this hard work. So now let's, without further ado, I want to introduce our opening speaker, Michael Xu, who is a co-founder of NetMind and AGI Odyssey, who is also an active investor in AI and deep tech. He has been specializing in turning the forward-thinking vision and ideas into the real-world applications, and also with a strong focus on AGI, AI agents, and long-term innovation. So without further ado, please welcome Michael on the stage.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Very happy to be here, have an opening speech. And my purpose is to warm up this session. And firstly, let me warm up myself. So everybody, like Gao Yuan just introduced me as a sponsor and an investor. Actually, I'm a full-time researcher. I do coding and developer and research. But once you are involving investor and the sponsor, people just ignore everything else you do. Yeah, just like in my family, I have 6 kids, and I'm a very I'm a very good football coach, and I'm a driver. Sometimes I'm a chef, but whatever I do, they just call me dad. So this 2 concepts let me think about some words, very interesting. In Chinese, it's 金主爸爸. In English, it's sugar daddy. So that's the warm up, okay? Let's start the real topic of today. It's about investment in the age of AI. How can we make smart choice to the industry of AI? I think the investment in a broader sense is not just about money. It's about even including your time, your energy, right, your choice, and your resources. How to invest those resources into something you think will be big, right? Like actually, it's just anticipation the future. So how to anticipate the future? I think there's only one method, is to learn from the history, from the data, right? You just get the experience and form some story which you think maybe will match the future. Then you use this story as a framework to anticipate the future and make a decision how to invest. So I think this topic tends to how to find or build a story in the age of AI. But I think in the first idea in my head, I think everybody will agree with is AI is a new technology, is a breakthrough in this area. Since we research AI since 1940s, right? It's decades. But just recently we find some breakthrough, then we feel different. And I think this is a kind of story of technology innovation. So I asked ChatGPT to give me a list about this innovation, and I can get some help from ChatGPT to do this speech. So he gave me a lot of things like a steam engine and automobile and computer, television, broadcast, and the internet. Sure, right? So these things is kind of technology innovation, and I think everybody already be very familiar with these things, how they disrupted the traditional industrial and even create new sectors. And in this period, there are lots of opportunity we can invest. But this is not the story I want to choose today to describe, because I think there's another bigger story we sometimes ignore it. So by the way, the ChatGPT gave me the list. There's another one I didn't say it before, because I don't think it's a technology innovation, which is Bitcoin. Yeah, because I think Bitcoin's technology is quite simple, especially for me, because when I worked for Huawei in 23, it's 20 years ago, and I find some pain points about this company's document security management, because there's lots of steal from this company, the technology to sell to other companies. So I get a new company, a startup to solve this problem. We're using asymmetric encryption algorithm, just like Bitcoin do the encrypt the document. So for me, this is a very simple technology, and in order to expand our business to other companies, we're using decentralized storage technology to store all the documents. So compared to my company's technology to Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's technology is much easier, right? After all, Bitcoin only need to manage one ledger file, but in our company, we need to manage countless documents. So for me, Bitcoin is even easier than our technology. But why Bitcoin is so successful compared to my company is not because of technology. It's because the story Bitcoin tells us. It's because it's a cognition revolution, I think. Because everyone we born in an environment, they already have nations, already have money. And so we never think about this topic before Bitcoin until we find out this something different. This Bitcoin trick us to rethink what is money, what is value, what is trust, even what is nation power come from, right? So this story built up the real value of Bitcoin. I think when Bitcoin just issued 2010 or 11, at that time I already sell my first business and start the second one, which is a supermarket, very traditional supermarket. So it's a big shift for me from a very high-tech company to a very traditional one, but this is a business too, right? Big money. And at that time, because I invest a lot of time and build up a lot of connections with that community of in crypto, since my first business is just related to that. And I'm very easier to reach to Bitcoin very early age. So at that time, I noticed the story which make by Satoshi Nakamoto. Yeah, and I think this idea is good. Even I'm not so believe that, right? It's very very new and impossible. But as a tech geek, I still want to support him. So I buy Bitcoins and I even help to marketing Bitcoin and tell stories to all my relations, and including one person who is a butcher, a bulk vendor in my market. And I don't think he totally know nothing about technology, but after all, I'm the boss in the market, right? So he have to listen to me. But he, after several conversations, at last, he trusted me. And he believed this story even better than me. Because he had nothing to choose, right? I have lots of things to study, to learn and compare. But for him, there's only two things he can do. One is sell pork, two is buying Bitcoin. So very easy. And recently I heard some news from him, and he still holds thousands of Bitcoin. So I think he's the richest butcher in the world. And I think this is a key I want to talking about is if we choose a story not about technology, is about recognition, a cognition revolution, and even someone who have no opportunity before maybe have some new opportunity in this time, like this butcher, right? He knew nothing, but he just built up a new cognition, a new belief. Sometimes knew something is one thing, but 3 minutes is another thing. But believe a thing is different. So I think AI in this AI revolution, I think most important part is we should choose a cognitive revolution as the AI revolution. And because AI trigger us to think about even deeper stories, like what is consciousness, what is life, what is self, right? This concept doesn't matter before because there is nothing we can do with that. But after AI emerged, these concepts are very important. For example, what is consciousness, right? What is attention? So when we try to design the agent system, like even including multi-agent system, these two concepts is very useful to define how the agent to operate the attention. Is the agent supposed to have a robust ability to talk with everyone in the same time, or each agent should, like a human being, you can talk just to single people, right? This is a choice. Because if one agent talk to everybody, there is no difference to this agent. But if we're using different agent to talk to different agent, to different people, this means diversity. And the diversity could emerge higher level intelligence. So this is a choice after AI emerged. And another example is what is life? Right? Before, life is a very subtle concept. Nobody can define what is life. But now I don't want to define what is life. I just want to use this narrative to express some example, which I recently invested in a company. This company, they used to be a very small company, and now they are also small, but they asked me to invest with them. I refused because their product is very gray. It's not a very good product. They help students write paper. Right? This violates some regulation. So I refused to invest there. But after several conversations, they involved their also we can say they change their story to narrative their product. They tell me, so we start from a DNA, right? What is DNA, right? It's in our cells, right? But is DNA alive? No, DNA is just some information, a dead information. So unless one day you put DNA into a cell, right? There is a mechanism of the proteins. They can make the DNA become alive, right? So that's life come from. You cannot just put the information singly as a life. You need something to elaborate that. So then we compare to papers. So paper, they are dead paper. So if we're using a large language model with some other tools to be the paper cell, to make a paper become alive. So imagine a paper is ideas, right? This idea can grow, can mutate, can combine with other papers to generate new ideas. And this company, they even create some example for me to show off how their ideas using their engine to evolve from like a Newton's law to relativity, right? It's natural. It's just changing the idea to mutate. Time is not stable. Time is relative, and combined with other algorithms, then they can create relativity. I know it's a little bit biased because the large language model already know relativity, right? But this is it's a good example to show me how this system can create a ecosystem where the paper become alive and they compete, they cooperate, they reproduce, they mutate, and generates really new scientific ideas. So that's why I invest to them at last. So this is also just a story changing, right? They are doing the same thing, but they change the story, change my cognition, then I change my mind to invest them. And since there's no time, I have one last example is how to recognize self. So what is self, right? Self, where is the boundary of self, right? Everybody have their own feeling, but nobody can define that. Right? For example, maybe some people say, oh, if you can control your hand, your leg, so this is your part of the body, but something you can't control it's belong to the world, not belong to you, right? So for example, I use my hand to lift this table. I can't do that. So actually there's a limitation. So the control never have fully control. The limitation, I can't control my hand to lift this table. It's too heavy, right? I use my brain, send the information to tell my hand to lift this, failed. This is a limitation, right? My hand has a limitation of control. But I can using another information through my words to ask my colleague to help me to do it. Then it could be done. So actually, my colleague is closer than me, than my hand. My hand is failed, but my colleague make it done. So in that scenario, I can't see my hand is me or my colleague is me, because I just also using information to control them. And sometimes it's done, sometimes it's can't. So this is just a level of the control of limitation. And so we cannot actually clearly define the edge of self. And this is just a story you choose to believe. You can even believe the whole world is me, because you can't control anything, but you can influence anything in some level of control. Yeah, so this is just a story you can make yourself to believe. And there's another kind of definition is, I think some people know this sentence is, you are not what you think you are. You are not what others think you are. You are what you think others think you are. It means you make up a story through others' lens of you. Right? You can write anything to yourself. And combine this definition with AI, with the new technology, I think it's more convincible for us to redefine self. I have another business. I invested in a longevity clinic. So this is a clinic which help people to live healthier and live longer and such things. And we prepare a plan B for our clients. If plan A, the longevity failed, the plan B is to brainwash our clients to believe his story, create his own story to reach immortality. So how to do that? For example, if the client believe himself is a story, right? I think it's easier to convince everybody to believe self is a story. What else we can be? No else. Anything can change, right? Except this story. The story you believe is yourself. So how can we end a story? Except the story end itself. You write end, then you die. So if the story believe it's the story itself is immortal, then you already achieve immortal. So this is a very simple way, just make you feel it and believe it and turn it to the faith, then you can achieve immortal. Just as simple as this. This is a cognition revolution. That's the time we can do that, because there's a lot of supporters, support technology, support story, and this will help you to reform the self and make you feel you can become immortal. At last, I think everybody can, this is just inspiration of this new age, and everybody can do the research like me about the new technology, or you can rebuild your belief and join in this cognition revolution. If you can't believe you can be immortal, I think at least you can become to the like the butcher do, right? He just believe me even more than me myself, and become a little bit advanced than others. Thank you, everybody.
So, what's a pioneer of cybersecurity to cognitive experts, which is here. So in fact, to Michael's spot to our events, Here is a small gift. It's only, I know you love sports, so, and the weather is too warm today, unfortunately, for the winter. So it's designed by our committee member, stands for Youth Tsinghua Association. So we are a little bit over time, but it's fine. I can squeeze a little bit further. So for our next speaker, I have a full paper to introduce her. She is a very humble person, but a very distinguished guest. So Professor Fu Xiaolan, who is a professor of technology and international development in the University of Oxford. Fu Xiaolan is the founding director of the Technology and Management Center for Development, professor of technology and international development, fellow of Green Templeton College, and a fellow of Academy of Social Science. She is actually the first Chinese fellow of Academy of Social Science in the UK, and founder of also a startup, oxvalue.ai. So in 2022, Professor Fu was appointed as the director of Oxford Advanced Research Center by the University of Oxford, which wholly owns the Oxford Suzhou Center of Advanced Research. She was also appointed several titles, numerous, of different international organizations, which I wouldn't dive too much into that. But she has also been a consultant for UNDSA, UNCTAD, UNIDO, the World Bank, the OECD, the European Commission, the IAO, the Commonwealth Secretaries, UKTI, the Chinese government even. Professor Fu serves on the advisory expert group of the OECD Global Investment Forum, and she currently serves on the management committee of the Oxford University China Center. She has been also a senior research associate at the University of Cambridge and University of Tsinghua. So, and a visiting professor at Fudan University. As a leading China expert, she has been participating in various media interviews and panel discussions, including BBC, Sky News, CCTV, CGTN, People's Daily, and China Daily. So without further ado, let's welcome Professor Fu Xiaolan. So I hold this one, and feel free to
use this. Okay.
It's just
Good evening, everyone. Many thanks to Yuan for inviting me to this very interesting event. And also many thanks to Michael for sponsor this interesting workshop. And also thank you for very philosophical opening speech. And I know Mr. Ren Zhenfei, the founder of Huawei. Many people told me he's very philosophical too. My friend told me when you talk to him, don't to talk very detailed technical problems or business, or he likes to think about big questions like the questions that you are asking. And I did have some experience last year when I went to Tibet. So I have been, I was very nervous at the start. I thought I would get a lot of kind of, I may get sick, etc. At my age. I may not be able to really go to very high, but from 3,000 meters to 4,000 meters to 5,000 meters, I'm walking like on normal kind of ground, and even my guide, tourist guide, told me, I think you would be okay to go to 6,000. Of course, we didn't go there, but that experience really encouraged and inspired me, and encouraged me that what I can achieve something you thought you cannot. So that's an experience keep me, climbing higher. I mean, the academic research, to aim high. and aim high in other fields too. So exactly as Michael said, I think that belief is important. And also, think about what is yourself, and the power of thinking, of belief is really great. So today I would like to share with you some of my, so it's not a lecture, it's actually for me to share my recent research experience on AI and the frontier of InvestTech, how AI can empower the technology in investment, help us to make smarter and more efficient investment decisions. So it's not really moving.
Right. So
Okay, I need to, okay, yeah.
So this one.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So I will mainly give a quick review of the frontier of AI movements, and also then talk about applications of AI in innovation investment. And then we'll talk about the trends and challenges and the future of InvestTech in the age of AI. So first is quick review of AI development in the past year. I believe everybody come to this meeting today, you are also experts in this field. Maybe more, I believe, more than more than me. So in the past last year, there are in a few areas then that we have seen progress, in AI, which can have immediate or further impact on investment decision. First is explainable AI. One critic about AI is a black box, and the one improvement made recently is about explainable AI, in order to make the model more transparent. And another is about self-supervised versus unsupervised learning. And this also helped us to reduce our reliance on labeled data. So the requirement on data, will kind of reduced, and therefore the AI application can be wider. The third one is about multimodal AI. And so this multimodal AI can help us to make comprehensive analysis of data coming from text, from image, from sound, or from video. So sometimes the data are, normally the data in our traditional mind is a really structured data in a database. However, in today's world, the data can be in text, can embed it in the video, in the audio. And all these are data that can be useful, can be analyzed and help us for decision making, like the diagram, in annual report, like text of a patent information, or a CEO's presentation, a speech, which has a lot of rich information about the company's future plan. So all these, can be analyzed efficiently using multimodal AI in a very time-efficient way, rather than very time-consuming way where you have done the transcript and do the analysis. And the third one is about Edge AI and the real-time analysis. This allows us to do real-time data processing and decision-making. And this make the decision-making much more timely. So these are the developments in the past year which related, to our topic today about investment decision. Of course, another important development is DeepSeek. The emergence of DeepSeek has made AI much more affordable and accessible. I think the importance, I compare this to, after the invention of electricity Originally, electricity is not accessible and affordable by everyone. It's later, after the invention by Edison, there are many other inventions for the transmission of energy, the storage of energy. All those, become much more available, make the energy being able to transfer to other places and at affordable price. And so today, energy become, we say, like a blood for industrialization. And the DeepSeek is making AI, become the blood of next wave of industrialization. Without this accessible and affordable revolution of AI, it will not become the real blood of industrial revolution. Then let's look at how AI kind of being applied in innovation investment. This is just one example of AI's kind of application in investment decision making, and it's already taking place. So AI plus finance markets are developing very rapidly. So we can see over the years, especially since year 2020, the trend is steep. And also fintech and the financial large language model market is also growing very fast in the past few years. And we expect that it will continue to increase. So the fintech market, especially AI plus fintech market, is increasing very fast. And looking at the whole investment chain, from your project selection, you have to do the screen, due diligence, and then to make a decision. And later you will need to do dynamic portfolio management, and then to post investment management. Use AI for intelligent post-investment management, and also to plan for your exit strategy. So AI can be applied throughout the whole kind of life cycle of the investment chain. So for the project screen and the due diligence, AI can do fast screen of the projects, of the applications. If you are an investor, I don't know how many investors here in the room that you need to make decision. You read a lot of applications every year. I know Michael is an investor, and I believe there are other people working in the financial sector or working in the companies that you need to make decision. And how many of us are working in startups, need to raise funds for your business? How many of you? So, oh yeah, I can see, yeah, quite a few here. So all of every year, some of the investors need to read a lot of applications for investment, and they need to do the screening, and then they need to do the due diligence. That's very time demanding, very time demanding. And also later, we need some real time, AI can help in-depth technical analysis, and also like Ox value is really can reduce 2 to 3 months work to 3 to 5 minutes, yet producing high quality, high accuracy evaluation, which people have to spend 2 to 3 months to do, and cost a lot. And also for real-time optimization and risk prediction. So AI can help the investors to do the dynamic portfolio management, to monitor the risk, sell out, withdraw the investment where there are risks. So help with the risk management. Risk management actually for investors, for financial institutions, are more important sometimes than pre-investment decision making. Why? Because once you have the post-investment management, means you have already given out your money. So the money is out. So for financial institutions, commercial banks, investors, that's the time they feel much more worried than, pre-investment decision. And of course, so they can, using AI, they can do real-time monitoring and resource integration. And also there are exit strategy optimization to, through market analysis and looking at merge and acquisition opportunities and seeking the right kind of investor or, for takeover or for further investment, etc. So this is looking at the whole investment decision process. AI can help at each stage. So, these are the detailed, examples about AI-driven data analysis, quantitative investment and algorithm trading, and also especially like the high-frequency trading, etc., and also smart investment advisory and the personalized investment using smart advisory platforms, dynamic asset allocation, etc. And the fourth one is about risk management and forecasting. I already discussed, and also automated investment process. So there could be a platform helping our financial institutions, investors to manage the whole process. I know many large investment institutions have digitized their process. However, digitized doesn't mean smart management, doesn't mean kind of AI assisted kind of smart decision making. So upgrading the digitized process to smart AI assisted smart process is another level that we can think about. Of course, we can also think about ASG, like Yuan is interested in looking at how technology and investment can also help the society and the environment. So AI can also help us to incorporate, the potential social and the environmental impact of a technology of investment. This is important because the future changes in regulation may make your investment, be very risky. Oh, only 3 minutes. Okay, let me move first. So yeah, there are various applications. Currently the most used one are the shadow covers, risk management, marketing, etc. And there are many areas that AI can help us. Now let me show you an example. That example is how to use AI to do the valuation. We have many startups here need to raise funds, and the investors need to make investment. One thing we must do, cannot avoid, is to do a valuation of the startup. And the current methods have obvious limitations. They are subjective, they have low accuracy, they take long time, and they are costly, and yet they are not accurate, and they depend on some confidential data, etc. So in order to solve this question from 2015, in Oxford, we started a research project, and it has been a 10 years journey. And we set up a joint spin-out venture based on the research outcome. So we developed a theory called the utility theory of technology value. Based on the theory, we developed large data sets for each industry. So each industry have their own vertical big data set, and we use machine learning, deep learning, and large and econometric statistical methods to do the modeling, to cross-check the model. And in the process, we have been using multimodality technology to extract the data, and we use large language model to help us to produce the valuation report quickly. So what's the result? Is the accuracy of valuation increased from the industry average, 71%, to higher than 90% in all the industry. And the time reduced from 2 to 3 months to a few minutes. And therefore the cost reduced to less than 10% or even less. And also we use all objective data for the valuation. So the outcome is as objective as we can. And also we use all the publicly available data for valuation. So we don't rely on confidential data. Therefore, it has wide application. It can be used in a wide scenario and a wide visibility. So broad applicability, yeah. So that's the result. Maybe we don't have time to show you the a video, a demo. Now also we can use it to do the due diligence for investment. So this is a famous fraud case in the US that Stanford PhD graduate and claims she has discovered technology which can diagnose cancer with a few drops of blood, and actually is a fraud. And how we can do this? Actually, her company has more than 20, 30 patents. So it looks like a company very true. They have patents too, but it is fraud. So there are two ways for us to do that. First is we compare our valuation versus the market valuation they obtained, and also we look at the claims that the unique business competitors they claim, and also against their patents, whether their patents support the unique business advantage that they claim. So we all use AI to do this. First is actually their market valuation in the first two rounds, but the second round is 20 times of the valuation that we estimated. So it's overvalued by 30 times. That's the second round. So the first round is about 10 times. The second is look at whether their patents support their business claim. And actually their alignment score is lower than 50%. So actually their patent does not support the business uniqueness that they claim. So that's what AI discovered. We have a series, kind of several tests to look at this. So yeah, this is how AI can help innovation investment. The third one, I think let's escape this, the difference between Europe, US, and China, because I think they are converging. Technologically, they are converging, and the industrial policy-wise, they are converging too. Yeah, so of course it's different, technology-wise, China is catching up the gap with the US is narrowing very quickly. And the industrial policy, US, UK, Europe, all use industrial policy for AI. So it's converging. Of course, China has rich application scenarios. That's a very unique thing. Big market and a rich application scenario. And looking at the future trends, there are several future trends. The first one is to combine AI with quantum computing and blockchain. So this is one of the trends. And the second trend is AI and human collaboration. So I don't think the future is AI take over human being, but it's a collaboration with human being to get the best result. The third one is, the investment threshold will be lowered because the valuation cost will be lower, valuation will be faster, and the lower barriers for early stage investment. Even you are not an expert in a particular area, because venture capital investors, normally they specialize in one industry, or some people can do 2 or 3 industries already genius. So many people don't know high tech. They originally in other sector, in non-high tech, they dare not to come in. But with this AI objective valuation, the barriers for them to go in, will be reduced too. So the entry barrier will be lowered, and also edge computing and the real-time analysis will help us to do kind of real-time risk management and decision-making. And also in the future, AI-driven investment will be, will be a very important co-pilot and assistant for investors, that they can use this type of AI assisted platform to help them to do due diligence, do valuation, even fund matching, the innovators and investors for matching and also for exit, etc. So these are the future trends. And maybe like for the searching, for search, Google dominates. For e-business, Amazon and Alibaba dominates. And the large language model, now there are only a few, four large language model dominates. And in the AI-driven investment platform, maybe one or two or three will dominate the market because it can reach out. But what it means, like Michael said, it's linking the knowledge and the users who need the knowledge across the globe, through this platform. The knowledge, technology patent created in the UK can be accessed by industry companies, by users in Latin America, in Africa, in Asia, but Asia's knowledge can be shared, to other places too. So really link the knowledge creators, users, and all those in the ecosystem, through this platform, the lawyers, isn't it? The consultants, the accountants, etc., through this platform. I think that will be one of the future that we will see. There are challenges and risks because of the time. I don't talk too much because I think data quality, transparency, regulation, compliance are all very important. And also the future of InvestTech, I think it will make investment more accurate, more efficient, more objective, and more affordable and accessible. Thank you. Also a big free. Oh, that's all the size of access. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much for our two plenary speakers. Before we dive into the panel, I just want to show us a little bit logistic thing. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. Because the purpose of these events is to build a cross-discipline, cross-subject, and cross-boundary lines community for research and applications and discussions for artificial intelligence. So we have created UKTA and AGIO community virtually on both WeChat. I know all Chinese use WeChat, but more and more foreign friends also use WeChat, and also WhatsApp group. So feel free to scan, and you are all welcome. So later, all the collaboration between UK Tsinghua Association and the AGI Odyssey will also be announced in both channels. So now let's dive into the panel. We probably need to move a few chairs on the front row. Okay. Okay, now let's welcome our panel speaker one by one. So first, Dr. Louis Liu. Dr. Louis Liu is a co-founder and CEO of Mentor, a Hong Kong-based deep tech startup pioneering materials innovation for future of energy. Previously, Dr. Liu was managing director of Great China at IP Group, a leading UK headquartered global investor listed on the London Stock Exchange specializing in the commercialization of scientific and technology breakthroughs. He used to be a co-founder of CAN, Cambridge spin-out, specializing in GAN silicon technology, where he served as CEO and president. The company was later acquired by Classic Semiconductors. He was formerly the Secretary General and Vice President of the UK Tobacco Association, and currently serves as an advisor, still supporting us. And he holds a PhD in material science from University of Cambridge and a bachelor in material science and engineering from Shanghai University. In 2024, he was elected to the young member section of the Hong Kong Academy of Engineering. Welcome. Thank you. So let's welcome our second speaker, Ms. Tandy Mayo. So, please come down. Sorry, the first row actually was reserved for our speaker, but as you already see, well, welcome to sit. But it's okay. So Tandy Mayo is executive director and board member of independent bioscience and of Alexa. And she is experienced bioscience and capital market senior executives. Is focused on strategy, operation, and establishing risk and compliance frameworks. She has over 20 years of experience in asset management and wealth management industry, with particular focus on trading and investment advisors in companies including BlackRock, JP Morgan, Deutsche Asset Management, and also in other small and medium-sized financial service firms. She also passionates about AI and its opportunity to use in the investor tech sector. So our third but not least, Mr. Wang Hao, who is the Chief Strategy Officer of NetMind. Where he leads the strategic initiatives that connecting cutting-edge AI infrastructure with enterprise scale deployment. With over a decade of experience across data science, supply chain optimization, and digital transformation. Paul also specialized in tuning advanced AI capability into measurable business value generation. Educated at Fudan University and Ohio State University. He was advised the global organization on leveraging AI and analytics to improve efficiency to reduce costs, driving growth. As NetMind, how shapes the company's investment roadmap and go-to-market, ensuring that AI innovation translates into scalable real-world impact. So let's welcome the person. So myself is also a startup entrepreneur now. I'm also my startup is Kampura, which is actually an investment platform aiming to do something Professor Fu just mentioned. But it's still in early stage. So it's really a great honor today to have this panel. So Paul actually traveled from the States this week for London Tech Week, and Louis traveled from Hong Kong to this week here, also for London Tech Week. We are local London. So as you can tell, this year the London Tech Week has attracted so many participants globally. Not only this is a busy week in London, not only because the leaders in the economic sector in the two largest economy globally, US and China, but in London to make their discussion on negotiation and has a framework came up, but also we see more and more business leaders, soft leaders, and technology leaders globally come to London this week and to exchange ideas. All 3 days of London Tech Week are so busy. I see that even the third day, many people can turn out and still engage in the discussion and exploring opportunities. And this is our first time to run a fringe event during the London Tech Week this year. And we also thank to all of you. We also got a room full, and actually the waiting list is I think it's over 30 right now. So you are the lucky ones. So today we will dive a little bit into different perspective of how is InvestTech InvestTech will be powered by AI. So before I dive into each of you, could you make a quick statement on your ideas or your perspective on how AI will be empowered, InvestTech to be empowered by AI?
So if I put my venture capital hat on, I think as Professor Fu has outlined very nicely in her speech, there's definitely a lot of support that we can get from AI in the VCPE industry. Honestly, in particular for VCs, we deploy a lot of capital in the frontier technology companies, but the actual adoption of technology in the sector itself has been very slow. A lot of the VC companies are still looking after their portfolio companies using Excel, using spreadsheets. I think in the age of AI, I'm a true believer of AI's penetration in all different sectors, and that includes VCPE. Yeah.
Thank you. So I come from the industry perspective, coming as more consumers of AI and using it in the sector. And in my view, you talked about Professor, you talked about the trade life cycle. I'm thinking about the investment life cycle from the consumer side. And we look at from the customer acquisition, the onboarding, right through to the brokerage, the trading decisions, and the post-trade activity. We talk about settlement, custody, reconciliations. We've seen huge cases of large volumes of data being dealt with, which require, which can have predictable patterns, and where there's room to really innovate and use AI to automate some of those processes. Not just automate them, but then to use AI to perform some of the human elements, agentic type AI, and really remove the human error. And from a risk perspective, we want to manage the error and manage the risk around that. So I think that's an area where it's very exciting and a lot of opportunity around the use of AI in the InvestTech sector.
Oh. So, and I mind our vision is really to achieve AGI, and how we contribute to that is from our point of view is really okay. We are committed to making cutting edge AI services to like very accessible and scalable and secure to all the financial institutions. And then this is how I think we are on a journey to contribute to this role, and then we'll talk more about it in this regard.
Sure. Great. So now let's start from Luis again. So as an investor and not just starting your own firm, so I want to check with you about, because previously when like the ESG was really popular in the investment industry, there was a work on greenwashing. Do you see like AI washing right now in the investment world, and how do we distinguish a genuinely really good application of AI startup, which is just labeled with AI, but not that?
Yeah, there's definitely AI washing. I remember when before the age of AI, when big data was still the trendy word, there are so many companies, as long as they touch data, not to mention whether it's deep learning or what's the specific technique they use, always they will pitch their company along with avenues of big data. And now we're seeing a pattern in the AI sort of relevant space again. I think so. The investment firm, the VC firm that I work for, we have a true belief in the technology. We call ourselves deep tech patient capital investor. So we actually pay a lot of attention. I think we gave more weight to the actual technology itself than most of our competitors are fellow investors on the market. So, for example, more than half of our investment team will hold PhDs in science or engineering subjects, as opposed to in some of the other VC firms where a lot of them coming from commercial or finance background. I think that does help when we come to evaluate what's the core technology that's been adopted and that's actually driving the business behind the scene. So, for example, in the AI space, we have a portfolio company called Feature Space, which was actually acquired by Visa, I think a bit more than a year ago for £700 million. So I think it's as an investment team, you really have to have the technology depth in order to understand and evaluate. I think, as Professor Pu mentioned, a lot of that valuation and analysis could be supported or even at the end of the day replaced by AI. I still believe that there's a lot of work, a role for the investors to play in the VC industry, in particular given the availability of data. I think for private company that's always been a restriction. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's really insightful, and it's good to know that a startup company now we have a good tool by Professor Pu to do the valuation, which is definitely the bottleneck of the backbone of all the investments sectors. So now let's come to the technology, as Louis mentioned about a lot regarding the understanding of tech is really important. So from your perspective as a pioneer for HEI in NetMind, how I know that you focus on foundational layer and the computational power is actually needs to train those large language models for sure. So what's the biggest bottleneck in infrastructure do you see in this AI development holding back our next leap in AI in finance?
Yeah, first of all, we probably don't know when the next leap is gonna be, but that's our vision. Yes, there are still bottlenecks. Like for the first one will be the computing availability, computing power availability and cost. So basically that's what our commitment is to try to have a distributed network to leverage those idle GPUs around the world to make the cost lower, basically make it accessible, like I said, and then scalable to the startups, organizations of all sizes. And second is really the data readiness and quality. And many financial firms, some of our clients also are facing this problem of issue with unstructured. I think Dr. Bush mentioned too, like this unstructured data and also the segmented and the siloed data like in different places, and they don't know that whether those are AI ready. And so it's just really an important factor to design or to build a pipeline, a reliable pipeline to make the entire data sets to be ready for AI. It's critical for those data to be ready so that we have the good output of the AI tools, like from the AI applications. The second one, and third is really the scalability. For many firms, from POC, proof of concept of MVP products to the full scale deployments. They always face the issue of, like when we talk about from infrastructure lab standpoint, they face the issue of when they try to do the full deployment, they face the issue of latency and also I would say the slow network. So so we believe that the distributed network can contribute to that factor, because we can and NetMind, our platform, our infrastructure can provide on-demand SKU like GPU rental to the organizations, which are easy to scale up, and then they can quickly test the ideas. If it's not working, we can scale up and down very easily. So yeah.
Thank you. So I want to come to Tandy. So like if this sophisticated large language model seems like the data is key, like does it mean that the ultimate competitive advantage will simply be to access a unique proprietary data? How are you seeing firms approach the challenge of sourcing and leveraging their unique data sets? As your background also covering operation and compliance, I'm pretty sure you have accessed so many different types of proprietary data. So how do you see?
Yeah, so I think from the InvestTeach perspective, because of the heavily regulated nature of the sector, the data is an issue, but less an issue because we have people can analyze the data and can see it happen and be able to use this for purposes. But for example, you think of companies like Bloomberg, who have exclusive access to certain types of data, like trades with the client's applications and so on, and that gives them a competitive advantage and that will differentiate and make them able to do maybe bigger leaps in certain areas. But on the other side as well, you see, if you look at private banks, for example, they have data sets, they have, different information on their customers, but that's part of their secret sauce. So that's part of their proposition in terms of how they differentiate themselves, how they acquire the customers, how they retain them, how they service them, and that's not something they're going to be in a rush to be sharing and moving across. So I think there will be a bit of the silo mentality, maybe that will change, but I think the data and the customer is very much part of what participants want, and so it's not going to be a big opening up for folks. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's a really good comment. And so now let's come back to Louise again. So as an entrepreneur yourself, what do you see like the most common mistakes when entrepreneurs when they make a pitch like AI for investment ideas? And is it a misunderstanding of the technology or the market or the problem they are trying to show? Is that like they have they see everything as a new if they have a
Yeah, I guess still keeping my VC hat on. Let's say.
It's later, next one.
Sure. I think so. One of the things that I've seen, people, and going back to your AI washing point, right? A lot of the sort of AI-oriented startups tend to overclaim their own capability of the fundamental models. Right? A lot of them are trying to claim that they can do so and so in the large language model itself at the fundamental level. And I don't think, I think there might be certain technologies that the funding team has a temporal advantage, has a temporal edge, but that might be very thin when it comes to the speed of development of the Chinese companies, like the leaders in the field, such as OpenAI and DeepSeek these days. So I think, to me, the real opportunity for the true AI-oriented startups lies in the application layer. Because as Professor Fu mentioned, that this AI is just like the electricity that's driving the next generation of industrial revolution. And if you think about electricity, if you're trying to compete on power generation, that's not the game for startup, and it has never been and will never be, right? But when it comes to certain applications, the whole world is becoming entirely different with the application of driven by electricity. There are so many innovative ideas that just needs to be The big companies, the hyperscalers can't do it all. Amazon, as great, in this great company, sitting in this great company nowadays, but they are not going to cover every single corner of all different applications. I see that's where the opportunities remain for the startups.
That's really insightful. So now let's come to as we involve Tansy. So we involve in the lightning speed in the AI space and the application space as well. So as a senior manager across different institutions in the industry, do you have some suggestions on skill sets that these young talents need to grow and how can they really catch up with the industry? And what's the important part? Can you give some suggestion on that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I think it applies to myself and to everyone because everyone has to continuously reinvent themselves and think about how they can stay relevant. I think the key message is to stay relevant. I'll give an example. I have friends who worked in research as research analysts, and they used to have to get in the office at 6 a.m. before everyone, look at the news, use multimodal type information like picking up the videos, looking at the emails and the news from Asia for the night before, so that by the time the traders and the portfolio managers come in, they've got a summary of what's happening. That's an area where that's not going to be a big value add. The value add will be more on analysis and maybe the quality check of the work. So that's an area where perhaps there'll be a shift around the work. And I think a lot of the stuff is I can talk about using AI to make life simpler and make it quicker and reduce risk. So I think that's the areas where you'll see utilization. In terms of what people need to think about to stay relevant, keep in touch with you don't have to become a tech expert, you need to just keep in touch with the news of the times. Don't be mechanical in what you're doing. So work with the technology, be strategic and think in the big picture, understand the products, bring your expertise, whether it's on the product side or from the knowledge of how to apply the technology. I'll talk about there used to be typing calls many years ago when people used to type documents for companies. I know some of you are thinking, what does that mean? But there were people who were experts in typing. And I look at a time in the future where there won't be a need for the data scientists or the specialists on AI because it will become a native thing where everyone can type for themselves, everyone can source data for themselves. Maybe very far in the future, but you need to be equipping yourself to get to that place.
Thank you, Tandy. That's really useful suggestions and tips. So now I want to cover second space where Louis mentioned regarding AI properly is not just a simple startup thing, considering the grid, considering the electricity, energy. And like mine, it's a special company. So as you're providing this complete hardware actually. So the generative AI is right now the hot word, right? But really from an infrastructure perspective, how do you really see that how much money are these models compared to the predictive AI models that have been used in quantitative finance for years? And does this really create a power law that where only large institutions, only big players have a winning edge? What a startup like myself and many in the room needs to do?
That's a good question. Actually, that aligns with our vision again, because we want to make this. But first, let's compare Gen AI models being like versus the traditional predictive model. Really, it is requiring a lot of intensive compute and resources to train and build the gen like for example the GPT-4 4.5. They are close model, but it's estimated they have like a non-trillion level of parameters. And for example, even like DeepSeek, which has similar level of like ChatGPT or 4.5, they are like 605 billion full scale models, the parameters. So that indeed it is facts actually that this is power law situation exists because only those like high tech or like this extensive resource of the organization can have access to those state of art GPUs, right? And when they release release B200, B100 servers, like it's just acquired by Meta. You know who the names are. Right? So again, that's just comparison. And back to Netmind, we not only provide the compute level of the service, we kind of also provide end-to-end AI service for startups. So basically, like I said, the on-scale or the on-demand GPU rental is just part of I think our offering. And then we do see another part of it that's really, I think a lot of companies already know it. It's basically the inference platform. So basically, there's huge demand sitting there. Like we know that AI technology is changing like not by day, it's actually by second, I would say. Because every day we don't even catch up with, our company cannot catch up with all the news today. Maybe tomorrow there will be new model released by a Chinese team, and so that's basically what's happening. And then with so many changes, I think it is the developers around the world and also the startup companies that can contribute more on this side, where like on the inference they can utilize those foundation models. We don't have to all like buy all the like high-end GPUs, and then basically we utilize the developers and the startup companies that have great ideas. They utilize those foundation models to kind of build all different AI tools, and that's where we also serve where our service that basically we optimize this inference platform, make it more cost efficient for startup companies, and they can test their ideas. Also, it's scalable, like it's scale up, scale down, and it's really I would say I already mentioned that from POC to full scale, it's just different story. But then with this quick test, quick POC implementation, it would help startups to really find the right direction. And we always say you think big and start small. So that's I think where we can help a lot of the startup companies out there.
Great, thank you. This sounds a really good news to many of us in the room. So if Netmind can give us some even like free credit, like sometimes to give us that.
Actually, we do.
Okay, great. Okay, please share the link later. Okay, now come back to Luis. Let's come back to your own journey now, MetroWorld. So I understand that MetroWorld is in the venture tech space, not in InvestTech. But how like your investment experience could benefit you from starting your own business, and how do you really leveraging that experience? And I also want to know why. So what opportunity you see in this space, and what do you want to feel leveraging the new technology?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. The VC experience definitely helped my entrepreneurial journey in certain areas such as fundraising, for sure. So when I was working as a venture capitalist, I think the peak time I sat on the boards of 5 different startups at the same time. And you, as a board member who is like sitting in the back row, and you always have a lot of comments, have a lot of ideas that you want to share with the CEO of the company. Most of them don't really get picked up, right? So I can't help stop thinking that, okay, how I would do this differently if I were running this, if I'm in the driver's seat. Yeah. So in terms of why, I think it really depends on the personality and the actual motivation of the person. I consider myself much more of an entrepreneur than an investor. as in your nice introduction, this is the second startup that I'm doing. The first one was I started it during my PhD. And the company was actually acquired when it was about 2 years old. In a way, it was a good exit, but I always had a bigger dream, and I wanted to test it whether I can build something bigger. So yeah, and when it comes to the battery sector, I'm a material scientist by training, and battery and in general the energy space I'm always been very excited in that particular sector, and I still believe that there's a lot of opportunities to be discovered in that sector. So I hope that answers your question.
It's very exciting, and I hope this journey will last longer, bigger, and more impactful.
We'll see.
So let's come to attendees. So as someone working in the sector from the industry perspective, so is the primary role of the AI in investment, it's just generating better alpha? What do you see that AI could empower this complex process? Also from regulatory space, do you see how the regulatory space can catch up with the speed of AI development?
So,
Another question. I know.
we should talk about the investment space and AI's role. I think that was one of the VC side of things. I think in terms of like the portfolio managers and seeking alpha, in my view, and that's my personal view, I think the markets are efficient, so I think you can get alpha from AI, but I think it's a matter of time before people catch up, and then it becomes so if you just become crowded or things change. So I'm not sure about that, but waiting to see. I'm not the expert. And the markets are efficient though, so I think it will be temporary. I think the benefit for the portfolio management function will be, like I say, automating and using, excuse the term automating loosely. I mean, using AI and agents, agentic type AI to deal with all the processes that they do around them. So I talked about the research analysts earlier, talk about the management of the portfolio, the asset allocation and things like that, where rebalancing portfolios and certain activities that they can use AI, and they use a lot of data and they can train that to do those things. So I think that's where the key benefit will be. We will still have a role for the portfolio manager, and they are still at the center of the process. So I think alpha will come from that human element, but I stand to be corrected. The second part of the question was around automation of processes. Automation of processes, I talked about earlier, and I'm a big fan and using AI across different things. I'm from a risk and rate background, and there's so much on the investment space where I think the big wins we see are on the onboarding compliance aspects, but there's so much more. There's market surveillance, there's trade checks that are done on a daily basis, and then regulatory reporting. So many things where there's opportunities to utilize AI more and reduce risk around that. In terms of the regulatory space, I think some of you may be aware that earlier in this week there was a big announcement from the FCA, the UK regulator, together with NVIDIA, where they're launching a new supercharged sandbox. And they had the sandbox already from March. That's been running for the big firms to test. So this one is focusing on innovation and tech and early stage startups. So this is a very exciting and a stamp of approval to show there's an encouragement to innovate, and the regulator is very much behind. So there will be an opportunity for AI firms to bring their technology and to have that adopted and moved through the process quite quickly. And so I think the UK will be leading on quite a few initiatives, and hopefully that will be exciting on investments next sector.
Well, that's a really good news for me as a fintech startup. So let's come to how. So you just compared about the generative AI as well as predictive AI model. So I want to ask, do you see some real example of generative AI used in finance, and how are they used basically?
Sure. I'd love to share a couple examples from that too, because I mentioned that we do And we provide end-to-end service, AI service to startups like all and also organizations of all sizes. The other part, the remaining part I didn't mention is an enterprise solution. That's why I can share a couple examples in this domain. The first one let's share is like a fintech company that's our clients who are really deal with a lot of basically aggregates a ton of documentation that include financial report, earning call transcripts, and maybe industry trend news, etc. And also based on that, they build an agent, basically agent-based workflow. So what we do is just automate the whole process with that. First, cost efficient, so that they can process more and more than they can ever think about the documentation they can process. And second, just automate the fine tune the kind of the using some of the open source models to fine tune the results to make it automated and also accurate for them to basically support their financial analysis.
What's a fintech company is about?
I cannot say the name, but they are providing they sell their analysis and to the So and the other one is I cannot say that name either, but basically they issue credit cards to Mexico and also residents also Latin American countries. And what they are trying, what we are exploring with them is based on the reasoning model being very popular, and then we're trying to catch up with that. What's the real use case in financial industry? So using the RL or reinforcement learning methods, trying to optimize really not like to touch off all problems at once, maybe just within this customer interaction part, so that's can build a model that yet to be approved that can work. It's basically build this model and to set up to configure the right parameters or award system so that it can automate and also I would say automate is correctly engage with customers when they try to make calls for example that question. And also during that calls what kind of product that product offering they can make or promotions they can make to those customers. So it's not yet completely in process exploring this model, but I think this is also another real case as we utilize the reasoning the emerging technology in this for such companies.
Thank you very much for sharing those two examples. And considering the time, and I want to leave some break 3 minutes for the Q&A. So just the last question for all of you, including myself. Imagine we are in 2030. Think about an AI investment scenario. 1 sentence, each of you. Luis?
2030, which is 5 years' time.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, again, for the PVC industry, who has been very slow in adopting new technology in its own process procedures. I think in 2030, the AI would still be in a supportive role, like it will be a lot of the analyst job, such as market analysis, competitive analysis, will be done by AI, but the actual investment decision and more importantly, the portfolio management, the relationship between the investment entity and the entrepreneur will still be dominated by the investment manager in or herself. So I think it's a limited penetration in the next 5 years. Or PVC industry.
Yes, operating.
Yeah, like such moderate expectation. Sandy?
Okay, taking it a bit higher. I think we would have 5 years. It's not very well, and things move so fast. So in 5 years, I think we would have sort of an end-to-end investing platform which is powered by AI. And I think a big area for the UK is we have a gap in the advice area. Only it's very expensive, only if you can afford it, and so people are not getting the right sort of access to products. And so having AI with an agentic element to support the robo advice that's currently in place will really take things further and allow things to be more customized and maybe for the person's circumstances and get the right investment decisions and portfolio allocations and so on. So I think that would be a really exciting change for the UK market. Yeah.
Slightly brighter.
Yeah, I'll take to another level. Yes, like in 5 years, with the speed that AI evolves today, I mean, I'm kind of disagreeing with that when this is personal opinion, but obviously that you may have a real-time portfolio manager, digital manager that execute everything for you, but it's based on maybe whenever something happens in your life, you may be purchased and you there's some change in your bank accounts, right? And then the agents or that system will do the real-time execution for you, and of course, all based on the goal or the reward you already set up for him or her. It's and basically, yeah, you have to achieve the goal. So yeah. That's my
Yeah, on my side. On the opportunity.
If I may just add a comment, I have to debate with some. So I think that's why I concur with you. Whether the time horizon we're looking at is 5 years. I think for a new technology, there is a trend that we overestimate the short-term impact and underestimate the long-term impact. For this truly fundamental revolution driven by AI, I think 5 years is a short time, which is why I think a lot of people are overestimating the impact.
I disagree on that. So as a host, I shouldn't disagree with my guest. But I want to make also a bold prediction is that I think in 5 years' time, there will be firms who are able to predict the black swans. One of them will be mine. So that's my prediction. So now let's open the floor to Q&A. Feel free to raise your hands. Because of the timing, we only can accept maximum 2 to 3 short answer. So before you ask the question, please say who you are, where you come from, and try to make as precise question as possible.
Hello, thank you very much. It's very nice to talk. I'm Aaron Hackey. I'm from petrocode.co.uk. We do formal verification for software, so we can reduce your risk in your software. And my question is, with regards to the actual risk of using AI itself, what's your view on that, and how would you mitigate it?
Who are you addressing to?
I'll address to Lewis, Dr. Lewis.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or if you want to.
Yeah, you both, yeah, I mean, I didn't really mind, so yeah.
So, I guess the risk with AI, which is like it's something I haven't talked about, but I think it's all over social media and everything. It's the issue around the fear of the bias, and just that the risk that it's not doing what you intended it to do, and for particularly in the investment space, is the fear that the regulator will not embrace it. So you spend all the time and invest all this time and money in this solution, and it turns out to not be acceptable, or it turns out to be on the fringes of what they will consider tolerable for an automation. And so those are the things that people worry about, so that make people wary about using AI. But I think another key thing is about data privacy and where it's most personal data. What are you allowing to access? We have that already in my company, I think in all companies, where you're thinking people are using all these exciting tools to put company data through the school because we don't know where it's going. And so we have a few approved tools that we're using. But there's so much out there, and we don't stifle innovation, but you've got to put some guardrails in place to safeguard the company.
Probably just 2 points. In terms of the more readily available risk that one can see is data security. But if you look at the longer term, AI combined with robotics, and I'm not, this is showing where I'm not underestimating the longer term impact. AI combined with robotics, I generally believe that poses a risk to mankind.
Any other question in the room?
Do I have one if no one has one?
Okay, got bonus one. Oh, please.
I'm Vlad Stephen, and I work in American Express here in London, and in collaboration with Singapore team for AI adoption in financial services. More geopolitical question, because obviously I think that technology comes also with policy. And we know that with all this new AI Act in Europe, European Union, that will be effective in August 2025 completely, even it's already been developed. Where do you see the role also of Europe and the difference between America and China, and for European startups or European companies?
So I know what you're talking, but the EU AI Act is quite brief. I think it's one of the series of regulations where they'll bring in more. I think for the fintech investech sector, this is already so heavily regulated, so it's something that's relatively a small delta in terms of what we're already having to do anyway. There's huge compliance teams and resource for that, so it's not something that would be a barrier to using AI. I think it aligns with the goals that I talked earlier about the data protection and so on. So it's not something that I consider, certainly personally, to be an additional risk or something that would be a barrier to using AI. If anything, it makes it safer, and just with some boundaries, so it's safer.
So I think considering timing, we only have 10 minutes networking. And before we networking, some logistic again. So we're going to have a group photo together upstairs in the 15th floor. So if you take a tour, you probably see a big Amazon logo, right? We're going to take a group photo there. So everyone please make a move while you're networking, talking to each other, including all the speakers. And again, let's give an applause to all our speakers. That's the main events today, and also thank you to all our volunteers to this event. And please feel free to scan the QR code if not yet. So I will turn that again. So in case you haven't. Thank you.
Very nice.
Cheers. So all everyone go to the 15th floor, and the Amazon friends will take us upstairs. We have a group photo together. Okay. So for all the online, so thank you for stay here, and please scan the QR code. We are not going back. Yes, please take all your belongings. We won't come back. So thank you, everyone. Let's close today's call.